Nice. You really shouldn't do it with your accent. You're just all Borat. All Borat all the time.
Here we go. See, you there.
All right. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Might need a bit of a rotate on this actually. We can just rotate slightly.
Is that better?
I'll get in a bit more here, and then mine can get into the.
I'll scooch over closer.
Yeah.
I'll put a hand here.
Yeah, you can have your hand on my knee, and we can.
I'm worried about this.
You're worried about us. Our wives are worried about us.
All right. Okay.
It's like, wait, you go into a room and just talk to each other for an hour.
It's
a week.
a cupboard.
Yeah.
You're locked in a cupboard talking.
We lock ourselves in a cupboard and we talk to each other.
You want to do it?
Right. Okay. So this is. Hang on. Which way around is it?
So,
You haven't got your hoodie.
Episode 29. Kenny the Rotter.
yes, and I get.
Well, you're not the rotter.
No, I'm not the rotter. I'm the innocent.
Yeah.
I'm the victim here.
Yeah, you are. No, I say you're the victim. It's such a harsh thing to say. So yes, you're the victim. Well, the thing is, you're not victim weight. At least.
No.
You're a real man-sized human. So.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
Can we do have some of them very small people?
I know. I'm not. Yeah.
Just a quick one. What size is it?
It's Chinese XL.
Oh, you're all in your corporate workwear and everything, all professional and that, yeah. So I'm being interviewed and not under caution.
Yeah.
So on this particular occasion.
Well, you're coming in with your tracksuit on like you're out of the gentleman, so you're Colin Farrell-esque.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Well, you do train everywhere.
I do get around a bit.
You are training to be Batman, aren't you?
Yeah, so. I'm like jack of all trades, master of none. I think it's fair to say. Yeah.
You do. What's it you train? You got your Sambo.
Yeah, so I do Sambo, I do Muay Thai, I do BJJ here, and I do a bit of boxing as well.
Yeah, so you are just training to be Batman.
Yeah, but I'm like a rubbish Batman. I'm sort of like pound shop Batman.
Well, it makes sense because your Batmobile will be a Nissan.
Yeah, it would be. A Nissan Qashqai with a baby seat in the back. Like, yeah.
So Robin's a very small Robin.
Yes, exactly.
Well, yeah, it's great to finally have you on.
It's really great to be here, gentlemen.
You have been mentioned numerous times throughout our podcast,
especially literally on every podcast.
You always have to bring up your weekly update of how you've bullied Kenny.
Yeah,
even though that is not your name.
No, just for the clarity, it's Anthony. But for the purposes of here, I get called Kenny.
Yeah.
Yes. I believe because I get murdered every week, and then I come back magically on a Thursday, just reappear.
Pretty much. I think that's where mine's got the name from.
Is it? Right, okay, that's cruel.
He literally just brought it up in a conversation one day, and it kind of stuck in the weird little group that we chat with.
Plus, I'm very bad with names, so I usually tend to give nicknames or something to people, so it's easier for me to remember the person.
You start, Kenny.
Yeah. You know what? At least I remember that one because the amount of times that I've called you Andy over the past couple of years.
Well, I'm deaf as a post, as you know. So if I told you, gentlemen, I'm deaf in one ear.
Only about 50 times.
Yeah, I forget what I've told you. See, so it's like.
Well, it's my fault for mumbling. So.
Actually, there is Andy, one Andy, and I was calling him for about 8 months, Paul, and he's like, and every single day he's like, I'm Andy. I was like, okay, Paul.
Just to wind him up.
He just doesn't know anyone's names. I just think in his own head, Martyn actually just numbers people.
Oh, right, okay.
It depends on when he's met you in his life.
That's a bit sinister, that, isn't it? Yeah.
Not really.
There's a serial killer vibe, that, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
He talks about killing way too much. We're all there going, I subbed you, I tapped you, we're rolling. He's like, I'm going to murder every single one of you.
When he goes home.
Yeah, definitely, isn't it?
Evil. You're an evil man.
Yeah, I've got everyone's pictures and then
you just cross them out as you.
That's a bit more J-Rod at the moment, isn't it? Having all the pictures of your training partners.
No, not in a bad way. That's in a good way.
Okay, I'll take it as such.
He just has a friendship shrine. We know he's that.
Does he?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It's all the people that he loves.
It's not at all weird.
No.
It's not at all serial killer.
No. It's just, even though all the labels are cut out from newspapers, then it's not sinister at all.
Oh right. Okay. I've never been in the newspaper. I don't think, anyway.
Well, you've never been identified in the newspaper.
No.
I think I've been twice.
Have you?
Yeah, back home.
Oh, right, okay.
Have you seen this man?
No, nothing that bad, but I mean, yeah.
Was it from your basketball career?
Once was from volleyball, and
volleyball,
and the second time when I was working lifeguard.
You've been a lifeguard?
Yeah.
Was it for saving someone or not saving someone?
No, actually, I was. We were showing how to rescue a drowning person, and I was a drowning person.
Oh right, okay. So you played the mannequin then? Yeah, okay, right, okay.
It's just like you work, do you? Now you
We just couldn't afford buying a mannequin. So
Oh, so just use you instead. Just very still, was it?
It's like your work now, isn't it? Where your finger, you're in all the health and safety videos as the person breaking the health and safety rules.
That's another thing. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
So basically, every it's like we get like a thing, like induction before you start work.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, health and safety
briefing,
briefing,
and
yeah,
they
yeah.
turn on the video where like or what is wrong on side, why you can't do it, and mainly on all videos. I'm doing something wrong.
All right, okay. Here's not what to do.
Yeah,
And I was
do
like,
not do this. Here's a cautionary tale.
Is it? Right, okay.
But yeah, finally got you on the show.
No, and it's a pleasure being here.
Yeah.
Thank you very
So
much.
I think we got to ask the question is, what got you into jiu-jitsu then?
Okay, so in reality...
Other than the murder of your parents and your wish to avenge
yeah, exactly, that's it, isn't it? Yeah. So, in reality, I'm one of the older members of the club. I'm third oldest, so...
What do you mean third oldest?
I'm so... There's two people that are older than me.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay.
Gally and
Richard.
Richard,
The only two. I was rolling with Richard a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Do you know we've got 103 years between us?" So thanks for that. It's really like boosting my ego up. Like, I feel loads
almost
better
as old as jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I know. So thanks for that, Richard. And then he spattered me as usual, sort of thing. So in terms of the journey to arrive here and becoming into this, I'd tried a few other clubs prior to training here, and I still do train at other clubs as well, but this is my main sort of go-to where jiu-jitsu is concerned. What became apparent is over the years, I started training in martial arts in 1985, so it's just coming up to my 40th year of doing this. So I think it's fair to say that I came into it almost by accident. I had a judo lesson on a school trip to Butlins, of all places, and I loved it. I think I'd sort of been in the situation where I'd been battered a few times at school, and I always remember the feeling of like helplessness and sort of this is just what happens and there's nothing you can do about it. And then I had this judo lesson, and it was like it opened my eyes, because I thought, well, there's a process you can learn and go through to make yourself better at that, so you don't become a victim of it. And then that became so I went back home and thought, right, I want to do this. Unfortunately, where I lived, there was no judo clubs that were any good. I mean, this is pre-internet, so if you wanted to train in something, there was a boxing gym, there was a karate club, so you used to have to literally go to the gym and see if there was like a leaflet on the wall that say train here, learn taekwondo on a Thursday night or something, whatever it happened to be. So I tried kickboxing. I said there was no judo club. My father had been a wrestler. He'd wrestled. He came from Leigh in Lancashire, so that was
wrestling background. Wrestling
so,
country, that isn't it?
Well, if you don't play rugby, you live in Leigh, Wigan, and St Helens. If you don't play rugby, you've got to fight. There's nothing else to do. So it showed me a few bits of wrestling and that. And then I got into. I've been tried kickboxing and boxing. I tried karate and loved it. And all the way through school did karate. Absolutely loved it. Then through the 90s, dabbled in a bit of kickboxing, but obviously I'm in my 20s then and got other priorities and that. And then what happened was sort of going into the early 2000s. It became apparent there's a couple of things that happened. It was on the news. There was a guy I vaguely knew called Gary Newlove, and he was murdered in Warrington.
Name's familiar, so probably.
So he was a guy. I grew up in Earlham, which is going towards Warrington, and I recognised him when he was on the news, and it struck me. It really, really impacted me, because when he was kicked to death outside his own house, and he was trying to stop some vandals destroying his wife's car, and while he was dying on the floor, they urinated on him, and that really shocked me. That it really horrified me that someone I knew, that someone would do that to somebody.
Dehumanising, isn't it? So
it is, So that had quite an impact on me. And I think also growing up in the Manchester area, because if you look at where we are, I think the Moors murders had sort of a very long shadow, cast a long shadow over the area, because it's like 3 or 4 miles.
I grew up in Harsley as a kid, so definitely on my doorstep that.
So we had this sort of fear, growing up, and you'd watch the telly. It was football hooligans, it was the miners' strike, the riots, and all that sort of thing. And there was like this sort of embedded fear of violence. And that did have an impact on me. And as I said, then going into the early 2000s, that happened. So he was murdered. I said I didn't know him, but I recognised him. It was enough to sort of register with me. And then there was a spate of burglaries around where we lived, and one of them turned quite violent. It was in the next street, and that again, because we're then looking at having kids and that, and I thought, well, I'm bringing kids into the world. I don't want to be in a position where I'm vulnerable and being a victim. So about the same time, the film The Bourne Identity came out, and I watched that and thought, well, what's he doing on that? So I researched it, and it was a cross between sort of Filipino and Krav Maga. Yeah. So I thought, well, I'd like to learn that, because I'd sort of become complacent, if you like, becoming like doing karate and at a reasonable level. I can still kickbox at a reasonable level. Still do Muay Thai, once, twice a week. So that then I thought, well, I need to do something better. So I went into Krav Maga. I found one club that actually trained it in the Manchester area. A guy that was an ex Gurkha. He was an ex-military guy. And that sort of, I did that then for 12 years. So I got up to what's called GP5, which is sort of a basic level instructor for Krav Maga. Then what became apparent, during that time I was also dabbling a bit in MMA. So I had a couple of sort of interclubs, very low level type of stuff. And it became apparent that I was all right standing up, but I was getting older and my knees were going and I couldn't move as fast. And when I got taken to the ground, I was really put in my place, really humbled, really put, on the ground, and then had very little game on the ground. So what then happened was, going back to 2018, I then thought, well, look at mixed martial arts, and it's sort of like a hybrid of different disciplines. So I thought the way I want to structure it with my own training would be to break it down and then take the sort of the apotheosis of each individual part of fighting and go to sort of like the pinnacle of that. So I chose Muay Thai for striking, Sambo to takedowns and the wrestling side of it, and then obviously the only go-to would have been Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for that. So I went to a few different clubs, trained, and I didn't really find my home, if you like, until I came here. And what I thought was, right, okay, I don't want to have an ego. I want to just start with the basics. So rather than coming in as someone who's done a bit of martial arts or done a bit of grappling or whatever, I want to start from basics. Day one, never been in a gym before. In my head, obviously, I had, but I wanted to just come in and be humble and just be myself and come in and say, right, I want to learn this from the basics. What are the positions? What are the fundamentals? How does it work? So I did the beginner's course with Steve, and that was really enjoyed that. And again, got put in my place, got put on my backside all the time, strangled, choked by people younger than me, smaller than me, and in some cases older than me. And it really sort of impacted me. I thought, no, this is where I need to be up in my game. I didn't want to get into a place where I'd become complacent again. So I thought this, and it reinvigorated me love of martial arts, basically. So I say I'm just done my 40th year of training in martial arts. Still pretty crap. I'll be quite honest. We'll just get that out there. I'm only a danger to myself, I think it's fair to say. So that's how I've arrived at it. And I absolutely love it. So I trained, like this week I've done 4 times, trained here 4 times, and then the 5th time I did Muay Thai, so we're still here. So I also, because of my job, I have to travel around a bit. So I've just been over in Northern Ireland training at Heat MMA in County Antrim, which is Martyn Begley, the guy, he's a brown belt, BJJ. So I do the boxing with him, do the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well, and I train at various other gyms around the sort of northwest. I'm also now my daughters. I've got three girls, so I became apparent when. I didn't want to impart the sort of anxiety around violence that I had as a kid. So I was sort of took a bit of a back step from it, but they themselves went into doing judo, which I was very happy about, and they boxed as well, all 3 of my daughters. And then now the middle one, Beth, as you guys know, she joins us now. She's been doing Jiu-Jitsu here for about 18 months, as well as to supplement her judo, because I think like she's good on her feet, but then gets on the ground and she was a bit vulnerable, so she's sort of adding that branch to the tree, if you like.
It's really good.
Thank you, it's very kind of you to say that.
But it's good, that thing of like, because in your childhood you didn't have that access to the martial arts of choice that you wanted.
No, I ended up doing karate by default, because and I got into, don't get me wrong, it wasn't begrudgingly that I went to do karate, and so like me and a couple of my mates went couple of my friends went into the military,
Yeah.
went into the Marines and that, and then we were like proper martial arts geeks. So get our pocket money, go down to the video shop to rent a video cassette, and everyone else would be like, "Oh, can I have Debbie Does Dallas?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, can we have No Retreat, No Surrender with John Claude Van Damme or something like that?" Or
how many times did you watch Game of Death?
Mission in Action with Chuck Norris or something like that. You know, real proper geeky martial arts.
But it's good that they've got your kids now have access to a wider range of martial arts that you didn't have back in the...
I mean, the community's grown, and you've got, I think, since obviously the advent of the UFC, that's brought it into the fore. And I mean, traditionally it was like boxing and wrestling and a bit of karate, which was seen as a bit sort of exotic. I think in fairness, there's been a lot of bullshit merchants over the years that maybe tarnished the reputation of some of the martial arts, karate included. But I'm not one of these purists that'll say, this is the best martial art, and at the detriment or at the exclusion of all the others. I think there's a lot of there are a lot of bullshit merchants out there that train very badly, and I've frequently quote the example of coming here to Henshaw BJJ that I travelled past I think 7 other jiu-jitsu gyms to get here. Wow. So I'm very fussy about where I train, and I will not sort of endure poor standards. And it's been a bit of a joke. I came home from training one night. My mum was home. She's having round for tea, and she went, "So what?" She went, "Oh, you're still a white belt." And I went, "Are you still alive?" But I'm not. So look, she takes it in. She takes it in.
There's a 0 taken off the will there for you, though, wasn't there?
There's not much for will. There's not much for me to be left.
You're getting haunted then.
She'll come back and haunt me. So,
still white belt.
You still shit. I'm disappointed in you. So it
sounds
was
like my mum now.
Is it? I think there's a fair bit of that. So I like training here. It's having tried a lot of other jiu-jitsu, and not to say that I do train at other places as well, but this is my go-to. And if I end up at another gym, it's because I can't get here. For whatever reason, for my my work commitments and what have you. And I think one of the things that coming into this, it was meant in humour, but Steve always used the term white belt as an insult. It was like, you're a white belt, you're a white belt driver or a white belt drinker, or you can't, but I think it was done in good humour, and I wouldn't want to train at somewhere that sort of lowers its standards to sort of placate the egos of the students. So the fact that I'm still a white belt after sort of 5 and a bit years, I'm good with that. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for making that step up, and I acknowledge that. I know my limits, and having been humbled many times in sort of the 40 years I've been getting battered doing martial arts, and continued to get battered by him mostly.
It's having that self-awareness, isn't it? And the maturity there, so which you've developed over 40 years of martial arts. It's where as you just said, you've been humbled and had your ass kicked for 40 years.
Loads of times.
You know exactly where you're at, and I think the good thing with jiu-jitsu is, when you're in a gym and you go consistently to a gym, and other gyms as well, when you travel, you can see where the standard is for each grading, really. And then you can go, actually, I'm there, I'm not there, and you can place yourself quite comfortably. And if you've got no ego and you're self-assured and you've got good self-esteem, it's never an issue.
No, absolutely.
And I think that's where some people get burnt up by it, especially if people who think they're going to be a white belt for a long time, where they go, I think I'm ready. It's like, is that your self-esteem not taking the hit where you just can't tell yourself that you're not ready?
I think I'm the longest standing white belt in the club. I think
so, yeah.
Yeah, I think I am, yeah. I'm good with that, though.
That's it. You come to roll, not to get graded.
Yeah. So that's what Tom's every week I come back,
as you cry into the steering wheel.
Still white belt. My mum taunting me like that when I get home. Thanks for that, mate.
We're just going to get like a little frame picture of your mum. You're still a white belt.
They'll make a film of like 12 years of white belt or something like that one day.
Brad Pitt comes and saves the day, innit?
Play me, I think. Yeah. I thought I once described myself as the Forrest Gump of martial arts, but then I thought, hang on, he's actually quite successful at what he does.
He picks up all the sports he does. He's really good at.
No, I'm not the Forrest Gump of martial arts. Not even that good.
Yeah, when you think about it, he's really good at all the sports. He's good at
football player, running,
ping pong,
in the army, ping pong, and I know.
He did really well.
I aspire to be Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
that's it. When I grow up, I want to be.
Might need to get hit on the head a few more times, but
yeah. I've had plenty of that. Trust me.
I think that's more of a case of less thinking, more doing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
A good lesson there to learn sometimes, especially.
Basically, you're trying to master all the martial arts you can.
That's why he's becoming Batman.
I know. That's what I'm.
Well, yeah.
Will you still have nipples on it?
Without the money, the looks, the car, or a butler. I don't get any of those.
Or the mansion.
No.
Or the underground cave.
No, none of those things. No.
You'll just be a weirdo in a suit running around.
Yeah, or the fancy girlfriend, none of that. So I am where I am in life, and I'm accepting of
You're just a weirdo in a suit.
Just a weirdo in a suit. Yeah.
I mean, that's what everyone is that does gi, aren't we?
Yeah. I think it's. There are the purists that say, "Oh, it's not really jiu-jitsu if you're not in a gi." But I'm very conscious when I do know gi. That's definitely an area I need to improve on, and it becomes very apparent that coming from sort of an origins, everything I did it was in gi traditionally. I find not being able to grip very, very frustrating in some cases.
So, what do you prefer, gi or no gi?
I prefer gi.
Yeah,
there you go.
Same here. That's it. I think it's more of the art, like the. No gi is more of the sport, and both are applicable in fighting. Like if you were doing it for self-defense purposes, both are perfectly applicable. But I think if you're wanting to learn the art of jiu-jitsu, the gentle art, which what jiu-jitsu translates as, it needs to be done in a gi. I think so.
Yeah. I mean, I like it, and I think obviously I've got to be conscious that I am the age I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm 51, and I've got.
Didn't stop Helio. Helio was like 500 when he was. Still doing
really?
It. No, I did. Helio Gracie, I think he was doing it when he was like 80, wasn't he?
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, good for him. Yeah. I mean, if you look at that, it was a friend of mine recently went to a seminar at the Snake Pit, the catch wrestling gym, and he said Kendo Nagasaki was still there. Now you might not remember Kendo Nagasaki.
I've heard that name before.
Yeah, he was a wrestler when we were kids in the 70s and 80s.
Pro wrestling.
Yeah.
In the 70s and 80s, pro wrestling in the UK was massive.
Right.
And we're talking like it was bigger than it was in the USA. It was a household thing. It was Saturday night television on main channel. So families would sit around, watch wrestling.
So how old he is?
He's 84.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Kendo Nagasaki was...
He's still fighting at 84.
Kendo Nagasaki would have been at a council to hell for cultural appropriation.
Oh, yeah, these days, yeah.
Nowadays.
Yeah.
But back then, he had this great persona, and it was awesome. It was like samurai-esque type mentality, and everyone loved him, and he was like, he had big rivalries, and he was probably one of the top 3 biggest names in British wrestling.
When my dad told me, obviously he'd been a wrestler, and when he told me that it's actually just fake, it broke me heart. I was like, then he told me Star Trek wasn't real as well. I was like, no, you destroyed it on me, lose my youth's over.
I remember my uncle telling me Star Wars wasn't real.
Oh, really?
And I had an argument against him that he couldn't prove it because it happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, how do you know?
Exactly.
How do you know?
In the absence of evidence, then it must be true.
Yeah, there is video evidence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's a spider right behind you.
There's a spider. Come on, is it sneaking up to do it?
He'll pass it on, don't worry.
Yeah.
It's like a guard on you.
Yeah, it will do. Yeah. Come on. Off you go.
Yeah.
Come on. Can you cut that bit out? looks like I'm wiping my ass here.
Wafting a fart at us.
Yeah, enough of that. Yeah, we're not going to that oil checking nonsense that you lads get up to.
I don't do it that much.
I think I started talking about it because you brought it up.
Oh, is it my fault?
Because one day you started talking, and then I asked Sean. I said, "Can you mention that and what's that?" And he started more explaining.
So I'm to blame.
Yeah, blamed for everything.
Isn't it?
I'm to blame for most things. It's like I think I know what I'm to blame for. The tickling.
The tickling.
Because I did it that one time on you, and it got into his head.
Did it?
And he's been doing it ever since to everyone.
For everyone, literally.
I did it one time to break your half guard.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right. And did it work?
It worked. And I called a rotter.
I called you a rotter.
And then
that's me polite.
Then he was at the event going, "What happened?"
I do that on every single roll.
Yeah. Someone's getting tickled all the time now.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like I rolled today 5 times, and 5 times I tried it.
I say go to other gyms and that. No one's ever tickled me.
No.
At another gym.
When we go into that, I think it's summer camp. he's gonna get banned.
Oh, in Germany? Yeah, you're looking forward to that, guy. So it's August. You lads are over there, isn't it?
Beginning of August.
First week of August. So, and we've finally booked our tickets.
Yes.
It took us a while.
We were procrastinating.
Yeah, we're going to Stuttgart.
And so, what's the format of it when you're going over there? Is it like lessons, like seminars, or
24/7 rolling?
Pretty much, there's different types of mats, different rooms, and they hold seminars for lessons throughout the day, open mats throughout the day.
Right.
They also have non-rolling lessons as well, so they might
just technique,
just business things. And just like a bit of theory crafting.
Oh, like the promotional side of things.
Yeah,
I get it.
And the theory craft discussions and
even how to prepare yourself mentally for competition.
Yeah, a bit of psychology and.
All right, okay.
And they've got yoga every morning, which he's going to try and get me up for, and it's not going to happen. So.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't compete, so it's. I think that's one of the things I've really serious severe anxiety, and I couldn't. I have nerves around doing exams. My driving test. I mean, I was one of the most frightening things I ever did, and I although in my head I think I could compete, I just don't.
It's hard.
I just go to pieces. And there's people watching me, and there's a camera on. I'm like, no, don't like that.
I've tried to compete before. Oh, I've competed before, and I'll probably compete again, but I don't get anything from it.
You don't?
No. Some people have that real fire where they win and they go, yeah, man, or they lose and they get really. And I'm so ambivalent about it. I compete and go, hey.
Really? Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't fire you up.
It doesn't fire me up. I lose. I don't get inspired by my losses or my wins. I'm just like, it's a thing to do.
Okay.
So I just don't get really any enjoyment from it.
Oh, right,
so I'll do it because it's a good way to test yourself, and I'm being pragmatic about testing myself.
Plus, you're putting yourself out of the box.
Yeah, but it's like I'll do it at some point. I think everyone should do it in every belt category once. You need to know where
you looked at me when you said that, didn't you?
Yeah, you need to do your white belt.
Too old for this shit.
Yeah.
Pull the gun.
But yeah, it's just.
I'll tickle.
But I think you're down for. Is it Grapple Industries?
Yeah.
So this is one you talked about at Bowlers in July, is that right?
No, that's
another one.
That's Ikigai 7.
All right, okay.
So
Grappling Industries is going to be
end of this month.
29th of June.
Of this month,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah, and that's Wright Robinson High School.
Okay.
In Gorton.
Right.
So, that's just a grappling issues where they got a lot of mats, and you turn up, and it's just like a local comp, not like the old karate comps where everyone just turned up. You had your space in there.
Yeah, so I'll do gi and no gi.
Yeah,
you're doing both, right? Okay.
Yeah, you're doing absolute as well.
What?
You gotta do the absolute.
I might try, to be honest.
What's absolute? What's that?
No weight limit.
Oh right, okay.
I don't think there's a belt limit either, is there?
No, actually.
Is there a white belt absolute?
For absolute, think there's white and blue. So.
Yeah. So you just go against.
So you could literally just like
I can
dip.
I can go like with a roll with a giant who's like blue belt, like very high class. So
or a midget.
Or a midget, yeah. So, I mean, I'll get destroyed anyway, so.
He's just going for.
I was like, yeah, I'll try anyway.
Think positive, Martyn. Come on.
Yeah, and then there's the Ikigai 7, which is the one that's at Bowlers. So that's got
That's the one he's just sold me a ticket for, and then you tell me it's 50 quid a ticket.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
thanks for that.
I didn't say that.
that's good salesmanship. That
it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Get you really hooked.
If you have flash, you can't afford it. That's what
I'm
saying.
Yeah. So that's going to be at Bowlers, and there's a purple belt tournament with 16 man on that, and that's 10 grand top prize.
Ooh.
And Steve's running 2 white belt 8-man tournaments. And the top prize for each one of them is 2 grand.
Wow.
So
tempting money, isn't it?
They're little 8-man tournaments, and it's like, yeah, it's going to be good. I'm there. I'm already there in the background thinking. So what's the time scales and how do you run it? And basically, I'm a big geek, so I'll be breaking down the scheduling for him.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm like, here you go, Steve. That's how you run it.
Yeah, but if you have 32 competitors rolling and plus extra matches, so that's going to be.
It's going to be a 5-hour.
This is going to be a long day.
Yeah.
He's going to need to do it not in the evening.
He's going to do it in the evening, but do you know, like in the previous ones where there's been a bit of a gaps between matches, it's going to be just match. It's going to be a lot of matching going on.
And it's a full day's event.
It's going to be an evening one, so I think it starts 4 or 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And then it'll run till it's done. So.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's like
Sounds like fun.
Last time when we done it, it finished around 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
Closer to 10.
Yeah, about 9:30 it was.
Right. Okay.
And that was but there was like, in order to expand it, make it an event like an evening.
Yeah.
It was like there was gaps between matches where you play about 3 or 4 songs, then the next match comes on.
Does the DJ.
Yeah, but when you've got so many matches available, you can get the intensity of the matches coming up. So it's going to be good.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Martyn might get $2,000 if he can beat 3 people.
I need to show up.
Well, why don't I enter and I just throw the match? And split the money.
You got to get to the final. You have to win 2 and then throw the third.
I'll just go in like Pulp Fiction style and like bet against myself or something like that.
Yeah, proper like, was it Snatch? Was it?
Fudge the betting.
Yeah, really fudge the betting. We'll get some skinny pikey to throw the match for us.
Exactly. You looked to me when you said that.
We're from Eccles, so.
Well, thank you. That's
so everyone keeps saying about Eccles. Is it that bad area?
It has a reputation, but it's.
My daughter's got off the tram at Eccles, and he went, "You can smell of spice, can't you?" And it's like, that's the smell of Eccles.
Yeah.
Oh right. Okay.
My other half's from Eccles. And I
always forget that. Yeah.
And we'll be at home sometimes, we'll have a conversation, and she'll say something that's really just, I don't want to say common because I'm quite common, but she's just raw.
Really?
The way she says it, and I'm just like, that's the Eccles showing in you, isn't it?
Is it really?
Oh my God. It's like, wow.
Really?
So you mean like even in speeches, like different?
Yeah, there's Manchester and Salford are very 2 different places, even though they're right next to each other. They are 2 different spirits. They're like twin cities, really, aren't they?
Yeah, you get it with like Gateshead and Newcastle.
Yeah,
there's very much a rivalry that, and there's always the sort of junior partner in the relationship. I think Salford, I don't even have its own postcode.
No, it's like he's got Manchester postcodes, but
yeah, we're like erased from history.
Yeah, pretty much.
Quite rightly so.
The tumour of Manchester grew so big, and
I think around 8 years ago when we moved into Manchester. We viewed 2 houses, and first house was in Newton Heath, and then for second one we went to Eccles, and on Eccles we got rejected, so that's why we end up on Newton Heath.
I thought you were going to say you had your car nicked while you was there or something.
No, we got rejected.
You rejected you?
Yeah.
How bad must you be?
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
I know. I can't say much. I grew up in Clayton.
Oh right, okay. Yeah.
It's like I spent a bit of my childhood. Spent much of my childhood in like Tameside up in Ashton and Hasley and Hyde, and then it was like moved down to
not
Clayton.
exactly Beverly Hills, though, is it? In the greatest respect for the good people of Ashton and the like.
I've lived in sandpaper communities. It's always a bit rough.
Yeah. So I've not heard that one before. That's my takeaway from today's little TED talk from you.
Sandpaper communities and who lives in them focaccia kids.
Focaccia kids?
No, focaccia, the bread. It's a flatbread. It's barely raised.
Well, so we have just white slice where I live. Nothing fancy.
No, we call them focaccia kids because they're kids that are barely raised.
Oh, I see. Right, okay,
yeah. Or what's the one? Canaries for kids. No, you see the parents. The mums or dads walk around with the pram, and then see the pram just flies out on the road before they even look.
Oh yeah,
they're canary kids.
Yeah, those coats with a picture of a wolf on the front.
Yeah. They're just checking if the road's safe by letting the kid be sacrificed.
I've noticed they're doing that quite often.
It's awful, isn't it? But so you've explained why you've chosen Henshaws.
Yep.
Your journey into martial arts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, in your opinion, as you know, a long-standing martial artist, so you can probably...
I'm very new to this by comparison, certainly.
So you can reflect on, because you probably, I'd say, theoretically, know a lot more than you can do generally, because I think I'm up there where I know a lot, but I can't do
you've got so many years experience.
Yeah, because you've got experience. You can compare things to a thing.
Yeah.
So... what do you think makes someone bad at jiu-jitsu and martial arts in general?
Each attitude. I would say lack of inclusivity. There's I've been to the number of places I've been to where it feels very unwelcome and almost that you're an inconvenience being there. I mean, I've got to go back to like me days of doing karate, and you'd have new kids start, and then they maybe been bullied at school or something, and they wanted to like learn to look after themselves a little bit. So they're already in a state of vulnerability. They come into a gym, be it a boxing gym or whatever discipline is. I'm not going to differentiate. And then there's like the black belt will say, "Oh, give a brown belt. Take these new kids over to the side and just show them the basics: how to tie the belt, how to stand, out a punch, out a kick," and then they'll be rolling their eyes and they don't want to be there, and then it just puts those kids off. And the number of people I think I do feel for that if they'd have been nurtured a little bit and given so I'm always very conscious that when I train at other places, and particularly where I've got more experience in like kickboxing and Muay Thai and striking based martial arts, when I see someone who's new and maybe feels a bit
Yeah.
You know, I'll always make a point of going, all right,
Yeah.
I'll show you, this is how you hold the pads, this is this is how you punch, this is how you kick, and that type of thing. And I'd like, because I think martial arts has given me a lot in my life, and I've got a lot to thank it for. And if I can sort of impart some of that on, the next generation coming through, I think, I've returned something, because I've got a lot out of it, and I'm a very, very big advocate of, being able to defend yourself. When I talk about it with my having 3 kids of my own, I think it's very important that you learn to swim. We live on an island. Yeah. We're surrounded by canals and sort of post-industrial area. And if you can't swim, you could literally fall in the canal and die. Likewise with self-defense, with having that ability to not be the victim. Yeah. And if I could put something back into it, I'd like to do that. The more I can do that, but I don't have the sort of level of skill that I can do that with anything grappling
Maybe in
based.
time.
Yeah. Because they say those who can't teach.
Yeah. I like to think I'm the welcome mat. I've used the term quite often in the gym upstairs, where if anyone turns up on the first day, it's like, come here. I was like, I'll have a big smile on my face. I'll take you through things. I'll get you going a bit, maybe show you one very easy, simple sequence that you can start with, and then it's like, right, you're free to go, and just take your time, tell people you knew, and I'll kind of welcome them in a relatively gentle way, even though you're going to try and strangle them a bit. It's like as gentle as you can without making it patronising to them.
And also on the complete opposite side of things, you get clubs where you go and you get someone who's just a thug and just smashes people, and I hate that. It's not a place I'd want to train at. That sort of.
It gets hard enough. It doesn't need to be that hard on the first day.
No, absolutely not. And I think the other thing is with Steve as a coach, and obviously as the owner of the club, he doesn't begrudge you training elsewhere. No. And I think that's quite important. One of the boxing gyms I box at has got a sign up: if you box elsewhere, don't come back. Yeah. And I thought, well, that takes a certain type of insecurity about yourself and your abilities in your own club to say that you won't challenge other people. And I always think it does benefit me when I do train at other places. Yeah. I think you have small victories in life. And there's a place I train at, Salford MMA, and there's a blue belt there, and he just batters me every week, week in, week out. I get battered, and so I was grappling with him. I tried to take him down. I may as well have emailed him the week before. This is what I'm going to do. But he saw it coming. So okay,
you whispered it in his ear before you did.
He knew what I was doing. So anyway, I ended up on my back. So I pulled guard, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to try something. So I just went for the telephone armbar and got it, and he tapped, and I was like, I tapped a blue belt. I tapped a blue belt. I couldn't believe it. It's the small victories in life. And I think it could be. I say, if I was a sort of person that had an ego and all that, maybe I'd have walked away from it years ago. But I think it does help to have those little wins in life. Yeah. So I don't sort of come away despondent and thinking, God, I'm crap at this.
I think I've said it in one of the early episodes. It's like if you very early on, if you can get your micro victories.
Yes, micro victories. I like that.
If you can find them little wins and your goals that are actually achievable, because you're going to be more successful and more inclined to turn up again and again. So for me, one of the things that I started doing was I was like, right, I just need to do a sweep. Yep. This session, all I want to do is get a sweep.
Okay.
It's like that's it. I don't care about subs. I don't blah blah blah. It is, and it's like I'm going for a sweep. And then as I started getting better and better, but not good enough to actually dominate people in any significant way. Just could fight a bit better with them, and I was understanding what I was doing. It's like I could choose specific techniques then. So it's like, right, I want to try and get the scissor sweep.
Okay.
Because then all I had to do then
build on the base.
Yeah. And then so rather than just going for any sweep and just trying to muscle myself over, it was right. I have to now work for this technique, and I've got to get the entry into the technique to be able to then do the technique. So I've got these elements that I've got to work on, which are going to get me this little victory, my little win condition that I have. So,
well, you don't do something like that.
How do you mean, sorry?
You don't do something like that,
like psychologically.
Thinking in your head like this person I'm rolling, I might try to do that.
So from the outset to set myself a goal.
Yeah.
When I come at it from
don't die. Don't die.
He took the words away. From me.
It's called Kenny for a reason.
Yeah, it's just
I know. Yeah.
To lose more slowly.
Yeah. To lose more slowly.
Yeah. So I did an interesting round with Malou a couple of weeks ago. It was on Saturday morning, and with no timer
Oof.
So it takes away the pressure of it, and we did it very, very slowly, very, technically. I mean, he's better than I am, but and he's more athletic than I am. But it was just nice to just take the pressure of the clock away. Yeah. But not just the pressure of the clock, but also the comfort of the clock. Yeah. Thinking if I can just hang on and just watching it count down and get to... It got away from that, so like there is no time limit. Yeah. So it's just a case of survival and whoever taps first.
It adds this weird element of realism of if this was an actual
altercation,
where time might, I can have the time, I might, because you're working for that one goal rather than just reset go 5 minutes done, rest. But I like the no timers. We did a couple of them last week, didn't we?
Yeah.
So, and it was just, I think I was with Adam, and it was, I think 10 minutes of just trying to cook him in side control while trying to avoid his lockdown that he's got, because he's got a crazy lockdown that just makes your knee want to scream.
And it's a half guard, is it?
It's a half guard lock on your leg.
Okay.
So, and I've got...
Do you not sickle him? So I get
I don't play Martyn's games that much. But
it's a Rotter's game.
Yeah, he's got this lockdown, and it's like, I've got quite big calves because I used to be a big guy, lost weight, and I go to the gym, so I've been blessed genetically with good, strong calves. But when someone does a lockdown on it, it almost turns into a calf slicer.
Okay.
For me, it's like, oh my god. So
if they're like skinny and they dig the
just
bone
if they've got strong and they can just crush that calf muscle on me. Okay. So it just. Right. But so I was just avoiding that, and I think I did a 10-minute round with him, and it was just pouring my sweat, and it's like, it was good because that's rather than trying to fight for something, it was like, right, let's work for something.
Right, okay.
Because I think that's what you're alluding to with when the time is gone. You're not fighting for something, you're working for something.
What's also different, I noticed about this gym, I think completely different to everywhere else I train. When you go, you do your technique, so you do your half an hour, 40 minutes of technical, and then you've got to do some rolling at the end of it. This is the only gym where you choose your own partners. Wherever else I train, the instructor will come out and say, right, you go with him.
Really?
Yes. And that's actually quite different.
That's very weird.
But pretty much everywhere else I train, they'll tell you, right, you go with him and you go with him. So they partner you up. Yeah. And that is quite unique here. That, you sit there and it's like a bit of a swingers party, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're going to go with next.
Keys in a fishbowl.
Exactly, yeah.
Everyone puts the belt in a fishbowl and we pull it out, and that's how you go.
Yeah, we've got Kenny again. Bad luck, Kenny. Oil check time.
That's easy to remember
what I used to do, when you do a couple of rolling rounds, and then you look on the gym like, who's more tired? Oh, you come, let's go.
Yeah, who's sweating and out of breath?
You'll do. I'm like that after the war.
Or who's had before? It's like if Chinese or someone's like battered them and they're all like bits hanging off them and that, and then they can say, right, I'll have you now.
Yeah. I'm like that when it's just the warm-ups are done. It's like, you do a bit of drilling, pouring my sweat, it's like, I'm dead.
I must say, my cardio's not. It's very unique in so much as what do you do outside of jiu-jitsu that'll help you in the gym. So I run, I do a bit of swimming, and I do obviously the other things I do. But it's a very unique sort of draw on your energy levels.
Yeah. It's really
that
hard
constant resistance.
Different type of stamina you need.
It is very different. Yeah.
And it's different body part stamina. It's like there's people where they could row all day, and they've got that stamina, and their heart's fine for that. But you get them running, and they can't run for shit.
No, it's something. I run distance weird now as I've got older, which I couldn't do when I was younger. My kids run, but they can only do like a mile at a time, and they're enormously fitter than I am. Even when I was their age. Yeah. So I think I'd be interested to see what your views are on what else I can be doing outside of the gym.
It's I'd say it's dependent on your game, because you've got you're training for what you're doing quite a lot of time. So you're doing long distance running, and your game is you're doing survival. You're looking at long term, just holding positions. So for you, I'd say the long distance running's good.
Yeah.
But when it comes to maybe a bit of weight training and doing isometric works, or even yoga.
Sorry, I don't know what isometric means. What's that?
Just holding in a position.
Okay, right. Okay.
So if you just you can do a wall sit.
Yes,
which is really good.
Right, okay.
Which is good for your knees and builds that leg strength there. And that's an isometric where you're holding something for a long time.
Right, so you think that'd help me in the jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, or yoga, because yoga's an isometric workouts as well, aren't they? So if you do yoga in positions, you hold positions, and then... So yoga might be actually probably... Because it helps with flexibility and as well.
Yeah, try yoga, because it's then less strain on your joints.
Yeah. Right, okay.
You get a bit more flexible.
Okay.
Because you're still holding them positions, which a yoga puts you in a compromised position which you hold, which will build your stamina for that compromised position. So
understood. Right. Oh, no, it's interesting. That I mean, there's certain things you do in like in Sambo, you do things like cartwheels and walking on your hands and stuff like that, and I crap at all that. I can just about do a cartwheel, but then it's I think it was like building up core strength is maybe one of the things I need to look at because of time constraints. I've got 3 kids, a full-time job, and so on and so forth.
So you do some sort of like strength training or
I do, because the gym, one of the boxing gyms I'm a member of, it's a normal gym as well. They've got power lifters and that, and they do wrestling as well, in fact, but that it's the hours don't always necessarily suit me when I can get down, but it's something I think I need to train on. But like pumping weights and that don't really appeal to me. Like, it's pretty boring.
But try yoga.
Yoga. Yeah, I try yoga. It's especially in the morning.
A hard workout. It's a hard one. I can go to the gym and I can do 2 hours in the gym, like moving weights around, and I'm fine. I do half the yoga. Half an hour yoga.
Is yoga something you can learn on, like, off a video? Right?
Yeah. Literally on YouTube, you just follow. Actually, there's one guy, he specifies it's called yoga for BJJ, for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So you do the movement, the stretching exactly for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, what you do. So like hip movement and all that. So that helps a lot.
Right. Because I must say, I get up and I'm stiff, and I think
we all there.
But one of the problems I've got is I don't stretch off after. It's like they have the session here. It's like I got to jump in the car. If I'm here on a Thursday, I've got my daughter with me, and I got to get home, got to get tea and all that sort of thing. So and then the next day, regretting that. Not
you
stretching.
Usually get around 2 or 3 people in our gym who stretches when they finish the session. There's Alice and Kirk.
Yeah, and Kirk.
Yeah.
Turns out the people that are good at jiu-jitsu are the ones that stretch. Maybe we're missing something out there.
I've learned 2 things today anyway, so like an episode of South Park, I've learned something today.
So for me, when it comes strength training, I do only 3 exercises. So I do push-ups, pull-ups, and cycle to work. That's it.
Right. Okay.
So keeps me going.
Yeah. And I just do bodybuilding style workouts and powerlifting.
Okay.
And it's just like I've not been doing the heavy lifting as much recently because of my niggles, my injuries, like my niggles, but just been still doing weights.
And when you're out through injury, what do you do to keep you sort of
work somewhere else on the body?
Okay.
So when my knee went, I did a lot of upper body work.
Right. Okay. So, as compensation. Right. I see.
I did a bit of the brace I had on my knee still allowed for just straight flexion, so I could go and do a bit of cycling on the bike at the gym.
Right, because I think that's the mistake I've made as well when I have been injured. I've had problems with my knee particularly. I just desist from all training altogether.
It's not good.
Yeah, and then I remember about 3 years ago, and I knackered my knee, and I was out for about 3 weeks, and then I come back, and it was real drag getting myself back into it. But that's
one of the things that I'm not. I think I read a paper on it years ago, but there's this thing of when you work out, your body releases growth hormones to repair.
Okay.
Because when you do weights, you're damaging muscle, and it needs to repair the muscle.
That's what builds it up and makes it stronger. Is that right?
Yeah. And so, it degrades in such a way that it needs to produce the hormone at a higher level.
Okay.
So normal day-to-day life actually degrades your muscles as you use them.
Right. Okay.
And that's just life as you you replace cells as they die off and use. Working out means you, like weightlifting, means you've got to produce more of the hormone to replace it quicker.
Okay.
So and that's what causes growth, because you get new cell growth as well, which means you get bigger muscles. So, but if you're going to have that hormone going through your system, if you're injured, even though you've not worked that area, it's still an injured area which will benefit from these hormones.
Right.
And there's also study out there about the unilateral work when you've had injuries in one half of your body. So they've actually tested this. It's like real scientific study where someone's had an arm out of action in a cast, but they've worked the other arm still.
Right.
And the injured arm has still felt the benefit from it.
Okay.
Because neurologically, your body still tries to find that balance where it can.
Yeah, I got a dislocated shoulder back in, it was Halloween in last year. I got a dislocated shoulder, and that took me a good 6 weeks. I carried on training, but very sort of gingerly, very cautiously around the injury, and it still clicks and cracks, and that it's never quite been right.
It might just be a strengthening thing where there's a lot of strengthening exercises for the support muscles in your joints that a lot of people miss. because they focus on the big muscle groups,
Understood.
which are everyone sees a bicep, but no one's seeing the structure that you've got inside your shoulder.
Okay.
So there's certain like little exercises that you can do where you're just building up like around the rotator cuff and the other muscles in that area.
Okay.
Which can actually help.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for that. I say myself, I've learned something.
Best person to probably talk to is Anthony, the PT guy.
You would tell
He's the one that popped my rib.
Yeah. He'll put
me
it
on
back in
belly
place.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He'll put it back in
he will
place.
tell you exact movement what you would need to do to strengthen the area.
Right, okay.
Because it's just, and some of it is going to just be isometric holds. There'll be slight, not full range motion movements, but controlled in different ways. And
Right, I see.
you'll find it's weird exercises that you'd not even considered doing, which actually help. So when my shoulder went out years ago, one of those exercises that I found really helped was just pushing against a yoga ball against a wall.
Yes.
And that that stretching out to push outwards helped release and work some of the muscles in that area. So
Right, fantastic.
it's always good to have a chat with someone that's a bit more specialised and
Something from outside of Jiu-Jitsu as well. Right, okay.
So
And a question I've always wanted to ask is, I think one of the biggest things I struggle with Jiu-Jitsu is knowledge retention.
yeah,
Because when I'm rolling, I tend to find myself in half guard.
Yeah.
So I've been not actually specifically asking for it, but at different places I've trained, so 3 different Jiu-Jitsu gyms, and I've drilled for like an hour of how to escape an attack from half guard.
Yeah.
And then I think yes, and while drilling it, great.
Yeah.
And then next day, God, what was that? And I've forgotten.
Yeah.
Have you got any advice on to make that better?
For me, for example, I've got 5-minute memory. So let's say you show me drill technique now.
Yeah.
Later on, I don't even know what we did.
So it's not me. It's not just me that suffers with
so
this.
What I do, if I, for example, let's we drill armbar, yeah.
Okay.
So every session, I'll try like push that technique on me, like try on a person whenever I roll.
Okay, understood.
So it eventually comes in like automatically on your body. You don't even think
muscle
about
memory.
it. Yeah,
Right, okay.
That's how I remember stuff.
let's assume there's 600 moves in Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay, right.
Just 600.
Yeah, fair number, yeah, okay.
Fair number. 600 moves in Jiu-Jitsu from all different positions, blah, blah, blah. No one's remembering 600 moves.
That's reassuring, thank you.
No one,
I do feel a bit better now.
no one's remembering 600 moves. You could probably grab Steve away from France now and say, show me 600 different moves. And he won't be able to rattle them off. But what he'll do is he'll get in a position and then he'll go, these are the moves from here. Because he'll be thinking of them from that position, like where the opportunities are.
Yes.
So what you're actually not doing is you're not remembering the moves. You're remembering the options.
Okay.
And understanding certain principles. So how do you get a joint lock? What's a joint lock?
Okay.
Bending a joint the wrong way.
Understood, yeah.
It's simple as that.
Okay.
It's like, that's how you can now break down every armbar. If you can get control of someone's arm isolated and you're controlling their shoulder and you've got a hold of their wrist, you've got an armbar, really. All you've just got to do is find a way to bend it the wrong way.
Okay.
So when you did your arm lock on that blue belt,
Yeah, the telephone armbar, yeah.
no one's probably told you how to do that in years. You might have seen it here and there, but subconsciously your mind was like, I've got an opportunity here to bend that arm backwards the wrong way. And you did, and you got to tap.
Yeah.
And I think it's...
How many times have I mentioned that now? Ding, ding!
yeah, right. That's
one little bit.
But
I hope he's not watching.
So I think it's less trying to remember the move, but more about remembering
the principle why.
Yeah.
Behind it.
And I think if you take your time and if you're getting good partners where you don't have to rush and you can go in positions and do a bit of a flow roll where you're just changing positions a bit more and you can then just go, if you've got that second to think, how can I do this from here? How can I do this from here? And it's more understanding how that works. So
that's reassuring because it has sort of taken away a bit of the anxiety I've around thinking, God, I'm spending all this time, doing all this techniques and I can't remember it.
I forget straight away.
Everyone I do it. I like to see something online. And I go, come in, I'll try it. But then when I'm doing it, and I'll repeat it a few times, I'm like, what's the principle that's given me the ability to do this? So one of the ones that I've been working on at the moment is if someone's getting a Kimura trap going for the arm bar where you step over them.
Okay.
And I'm like, right, I need to think of, and I'm thinking, I can remember the move because, like special autism powers, but I need to know what the principle is around it. And the principle that I'm realising is if I can step over them and clear their elbow, which is what I'm doing, because my leg's free to step over them.
Yeah.
I can clear the elbow, which is the principle of defending most Kimuras. It's pretty much defending all Kimuras because that's where you're going to
once it's past that point, it's not going to come on. Yeah.
And it's like, but then I've also got control of their arm. So the principles that I'm learning is I've got the space to go around this way.
And then you can armbar them from that position.
Yes.
Right, okay.
And it's a really simple one. I've showed it on you, haven't I? And
you'll have to show me next week.
It's so quick to easy and done. It's like, this is stupid.
I know you showed me, but I can't remember.
Yeah, but it's that thing of it's finding.
You're just making me feel better.
Yeah,
now.
It's just finding the principles of why that's working and what's good practice to make things work. So, for me, get Kimura in a Kimura trap. The last thing I want to do is give them the space and that control there. So how do I break it? I straighten the arm. A Kimura is a bent arm attack. Straighten the arm.
Okay, understood.
That's the principle. If they're wanting to attack something that requires a specific condition, remove that condition.
Brilliant. Right,
I know in theory it sounds awesome and amazing, but when you roll, it just
all goes to shit.
Yeah. But excuse
my French, sorry.
Yeah, but it's like one of my Kimura defences at the moment that I'm doing if I'm on my side and they're going for the Kimura. So I can either break the grip, because that's the condition that they want. I can either like roll onto my stomach and try and really take that away from them. Again, they want control of the arm. I'm taking away the control of the arm. That's a condition they want. I'm removing that. Another one is they want the bent arm, so I straighten it and I put it under my knee.
Okay.
And I'll hold it there until they let go. And then I can tuck my arm in, really take back control of my inside position. But I'm thinking that's my developed thinking at the moment is people are looking for conditions in subs and techniques, and your defense is just removing conditions.
So when he's rolling, he thinks a lot. That's how it sounds.
Yeah, but you're looking at principles rather than moves. No one's remembering every single move in Jiu-Jitsu.
No.
You're looking at just principles of things of going for conditions, removing conditions, understanding how do you get a result out of something.
Or just have fun.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's always fun. It's always fun.
But it's fun to have the puzzle as well.
Even with you, Martyn. Got my eyes on you, boy.
And also just get mean, like pop someone's rib and
yes.
drop some sweat on the head.
Oh no, don't go with that. The drip jitsu. That is rotter behaviour. That is absolute rotter.
Full on rotter behaviour.
That is beyond the pale. That don't do that.
On that rotting note, though, I think we're done for today.
Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank
It's great to have you as well.
No, thank you for taking the time out.
I think it's number one listeners between you or Malou. So, but you're our number one commenter anyway.
Oh yeah. I always listen. I always put a comment in and obviously this one will sort of
be cherished. It's like, look at that in here.
Yeah, what the hell was that moron talking about? Cut that bit out.
Yeah. But rest assured, you don't sound like you're from Eccles.
I don't do it.
No.
Oh right, okay, that's nice.
You're not that bad.
For me, you always sound more like a gentleman.
Yeah,
a gentleman. Yes.
Oh, when you start speaking, I always imagine, you should be wearing suit all the time, like.
Well, you did your post about making sure you polish your shoes.
Oh yeah. I forgot
So,
about that.
so you are a gentleman.
Oh, that's
and
very
you're a
nice.
scholar. So.
It's a very nice of you to say that, as you are.
And it is great to have you.
It's always meant in the greatest fun.
Even though we call you Kenny, but it's like.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you as a training partner, even though we're absolutely horrible to you.
No. Yeah, you're kidding. If you were being nice to me, then I'm not learning anything, am I? You
might learn a bit more.
I mean, it's really good. Let's say you say like, that rib side is painful. Can you be careful? So you're like, okay, I'll put knee on the other side. Then
I even it out a bit.
I just remember to whisper compliments into his bad ear. So they exist, but he never hears them.
I've got my hearing aid in today, so I don't know.
But yeah, again, thank you again. And we'll see everyone else on the next episode.
Yeah. Right, brilliant. Thank you, James.
Yes.
Cheers. Thanks
Thank you for coming over.
Always a pleasure, my mate.
Bye.